Final tests, prototype 2. Once these initial tests were carried out with a mobile subject to a constant and external torque, it was necessary to carry out a new test which would allow to steer the mobile to port or to starboard. Therefore, it was necessary to have a torque of variable direction. Though we had carried out the experiment with different rotation directions, demonstrating the resulting orbits also in different senses, tests were realized with a new prototype where the gravitational torque was changed by means of the transfer of water between two deposits of the submarine. This would allow to sink successively the stern or bow. On February 8, 2002, the tests were started in the test canal of the School of the Naval Engineering of Madrid and later in the lake of the Tierno Galvan Park of Madrid. On March 22nd, new tests with this prototype were carried out, obtaining as a result the steering of a mobile to port as well as to starboard in function of the gravitational torque. The submarine could be steered without a rudder in accordance with the suppositions of the theory of dynamic interactions. The result of our tests confirmed our supposition. There can exist a correlation between rotation and orbit, and therefore an object with intrinsic angular momentum and moving speed subject to a real non-coinciding torque transforms its action induced in a precession, which in the case that the torque would be constant, will generate a closed precession path. The result is that an object in linear movement and with simultaneous rotation, subject to a constant torque, will keep its dynamic stability also constant and apparently unchanging. As a result of our dissatisfaction with the justification provided by classical mechanics for the behavior of the objects which rotate around an axis with a contact point, in a field of forces or including in space, and following the observation of our tests, and as a result of the logical conclusions that were reached, a theory of dynamic interactions has been developed and confirmed which laws justify the remarkable behavior of the revolving objects provided with an intrinsic rotation around its main axis. Generalizing this behavior to space, the solid revolving objects subject to successive torques or even objects provided with intrinsic angular momentum and under certain circumstances could behave in accordance to some general laws which have to date not been stated. As a result, in the cases where an intrinsic rotation and a movement of precession of orbit is produced simultaneously, it could be inferred that there exist dynamic interactions generated by a torque which acts on the object with intrinsic rotation without the need of a central force, even if the resulting movement would be similar to the one traced by an object subject to its central force. We are convinced that the theory of dynamic interactions will allow numerous technological applications and opens new horizons for the study of the dynamics of objects.